I believe this is one of the ones, or the number one thing that I think if you get this and really understand it, it can literally change your life. You know, we always ask, how do I do this? And how do I change my situation? And how do I make my life better? You know, that's the number one question that we all have, right? How can I make my life better? And I think if you really understand what I'm about to say, it could change your life. And it's not going to be an immediate change. It's not something that you can do and snap your fingers and everything in your life is great. It's a gradual change that takes place in your life, but it's reprogramming your life. A lot of us, I'm going to just share this. A lot of us, we have been programmed with negativity. A lot of us, we've been programmed with seeing the worst. A lot of us, we've been programmed to see everything working against us. A lot of us, we've been programmed to see our pain. Literally, if I ask somebody to tell me something's wrong with their life, they can tell me just like that. But I'm saying, what's going right with your life? Even if they have a million things going right with their life, it's so hard for them to focus on what's going right in their life because for their whole entire life, they've been programmed to see negativity. They've been programmed to see things working against them. They've been programmed to see struggle, programmed to see depression. And so you might be saying, Trent, okay, what's the number one thing that can help change that? Well, I'll share this with you. What up, y'all? How you doing? Thanks for joining in. I know it's a random Saturday moment, but I'm just following my heart. The thing that has really helped me, and I've been really conscious of it, that's why I get out in nature, that's why I get in places of solitude to really work on this, is it's really programming your perspective and your mind to understand that you are just an observer of your thoughts, right? We all have thoughts. We all have bad thoughts. We have thoughts that we're not enough. We have thoughts that we'll never be. We have thoughts that things will never change. We all have that. We're human beings. Right? None of us has perfect thoughts. None of us just has positive thoughts all the time. We deal with negative thoughts. The problem that happens is a lot of us, we are so easy to believe the negative about us. When we have a negative thought, we latch on to that and we believe it. And that thought becomes our behavior. That behavior controls how we act. Our actions control our results. So it all starts with thoughts. And I know this seems like so simple or maybe even so hard for you. But I just want you to start picturing yourself as like an observer of your thoughts, right? You're not your thoughts. You are an observer of it. That means that you can choose whatever thoughts are true and you can dismiss whatever thoughts aren't true. So I'll tell you right now, this morning I woke up, I had a thought that I wasn't enough. I observed that thought. I realized that thought is something that's not going to serve my life. It's not something I want to be programmed with. It's not something I am. And I let that thought go. A few moments later, I had thoughts that I was great. And I held on to that thought because that's a thought that literally can serve my life and serve my soul. And I'll just even bring it into really simple logic. Like, would you go out into the physical world, meaning the world that we live in, right? But see a physical thing that didn't represent you or that was negative? Would you hold on to that thing and buy that thing and say, this is who I am, this is for me? Absolutely not, you wouldn't, right? You wouldn't hold on to that thing because that thing isn't you. That thing is negative. You wouldn't take part of that or something that you hate, a food that you hate. You wouldn't even pay attention to that food because you realize that that's not you. But when you see something great in the physical world, you latch on to that. And you might be saying, Trent, what does that have anything to do with my life? Well, in the spiritual world, right, the emotional world that we live in is just like that. We wouldn't go grab onto something negative that we can actually see in reality. So why would we grab onto something negative that we feel spiritually? I want you to think about that for a moment. Why would you grab onto something negative? And I know it's easier said than done, y'all. I know it's tough when you're going through pain, you're going through situations, but that is not you. That pain is not your identity. That moment is not your life. So I really want you to understand that and think about that as you go through life. Just ask yourself this simple question. How is this serving my life? Me believing that I'm not enough. How is this serving my life? Me believing that my life will never get better. How is this serving my life? Me believing that I will be depressed for the rest of my life. How is this serving my life? And I know that might not change your current circumstances immediately. It might not change your current situations. But the first thing that needs to change in your life, if you expect anything to change in your life, is your mindset and how you view yourself and how you see yourself. Because a lot of us, we want a change to happen in our life, but we don't want to change the things we attach to our life and our identity. And I hope this is making sense. So a lot of you want to live in peace, but you're attaching your life to the identity of pain. A lot of you want to have growth in your life, but you're attaching your life to the things that limit your life. So I want you to start being an observer of your thoughts. When those thoughts come into your head, I don't want you to accept anything negative. When those thoughts come into your head that's positive, I want you to hold on to that thought, and I want you to become that person. And I know that seems like simply hard. You're like, Trent, it has to be more than life than this. But I can guarantee you, this is the number one reason why people don't change, because they don't believe they can change. They don't believe they can get better, because they latch on to the idea of this pain is my identity. This moment is my life. This mood is now my character. How somebody treats me is the reality of who I am. That's nonsense. It's not. We're all going to go through things, but the things that you go through are simply just the things that you go through. It doesn't have to be who you are. I had a bad week last week, quote unquote. But yet my week was also incredible. I choose to focus on the week being incredible, and I choose to focus not on the bad stuff, because I don't even want to label it as bad. But I ask myself, how can the trial, how can the struggle, how can that hard time, how is that building my life? How is that building my life? How is it helping me? Because I've said this a million times, right? Just because the path isn't perfect doesn't mean the purpose of the path isn't perfect for your life. A lot of times we have to go through trials in order to gain the strength. A lot of times we have to go through hard times in order to build our strongest faith. But a lot of people don't want to go through it. Or when you go through it, you accept something that was meant to build you, but you accept it as it's breaking you. So I just really wanted to come here and say, like, protect your perspective, protect your mindset, and protect how you attach yourself to the thoughts that you have in your life. Because listen, we have millions of thoughts in our brain. Sometimes, like, I don't want to get so deep on here, but sometimes a lot of our thoughts are subconsciously, right? We don't even realize that we're thinking like this. But the way to reprogram your mind is when you first wake up in the morning, start telling yourself, and we know this, but it seems so simple. Like, Trent, really, if I tell myself I am great, am I really going to be great? I don't know when that is going to take place for you, but that is the start. Great things can't happen if you don't believe that you're capable of great things. So when you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, I am whatever it is that you need. I am strength. I am healed. I am peace. I am free. I am me. You tell yourself that, because if you're not telling yourself that, you're probably telling yourself that I am lost, I'm depressed, I'm not capable, and your life is going to follow that. When you tell yourself those things, you're going to look for physical evidence in the world that what's the word I'm looking for? You're going to look for physical evidence in the world that proves that theory right. So if you tell yourself that you're not enough, maybe somebody comments on your Facebook page, and you're like, oh, well, that's the physical evidence. I guess I'm not enough. But if you're telling yourself you are enough, even when you see that negative comment, you can say, that ain't me, because that's not a part of who I am. I don't care what the world tries to put on me, what labels they try to put on me, who they say I am, what opinions they try to pierce on my life. I know that's not me, because I know who I am. Because I program myself to believe that I'm more than a conqueror, to believe that I'm more than my pain, to believe that I'm more than the things that I'm currently going through, to believe that I'm more than my heartbreak, to believe that I'm more than how somebody treated me. And I know it's hard, y'all. I know it's not as easy as I'm talking about, but you have to start doing this, because if you don't, you're going to catch yourself in the same emotional cycle. It's going to keep yourself in the same situations in your life. So I wanted to share that with y'all, because I believe that is one of the number one things that millions of people do that stay stuck. It's not that I don't go through things. It's just that I allow those things not to define who I am. And I decide to use my pain, not allow it to use me. So when I'm going through a tough time, I'm telling myself, how can this make me better? What is this trying to teach me? How can I allow this to grow me? And with that mindset, as they say, a growth mindset, then I become unstoppable. There's nothing in this world that can stop me, because I'm using everything for me. Even my depression, even my hard times, I'm using it for me. I'm allowing it to build something inside of me. So I want y'all to start thinking like that, man. I just wanted to share it. I didn't really have a really clear message to come on here and talk about, but that was just something that was on my heart that I wanted to share. And I think that if you really understand that and you really get that and you don't attach your identity to the thoughts that come in your brain, and you realize that you are more than the thoughts, and thoughts are just simply thoughts. Are like the river. They're just flowing in and out your brain. Let them flow, right? The ones that don't serve you, let them flow. Keep going. The ones that serve you, treat it like that fish and grab onto that and let that build your life, y'all. So I'm about to get back out here with my son, but I wanted to come on here and just share that with y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And thank you for your support. Make sure y'all join the challenge, y'all. We're about to open it back up. Just text the number. I'll say it right now if you don't know it. It's 817-242-2719, okay? 817-242-2719, and text the words NBG. If you forget that, just text the number. And there'll be a text that goes out probably tomorrow that will tell you about the current challenge that we're doing. Also, make sure you listen to the Straight Up Podcast. I just released an episode called Built For It. And I promise you, it's an episode that will, I don't want to say change your life because it can't change your life without your permission, but it will definitely influence the change that you need. People across the world are talking about this episode. I'm getting messages every single day, probably more than any episode, that said, this is the one that I needed. So go listen to it, Built For It, and hopefully that will speak to your heart. But yeah, man, go protect your peace this weekend. Go give your soul what it needs. Disconnect so you can reconnect. But remember, stop attaching your identity to the thoughts that don't serve your life. Please stop that. And start attaching your identity to the things that you know that you are. You're beautiful. You're wise. You're great. You're incredible. I don't care what the world told you. I don't care what people tell you. I don't care what your circumstances have showed you. You got to believe that you are if you ever want to be. You got to believe that you are if you ever want to be. And truthfully, and the truth speaking in that, to me, you already are. You just got to show yourself. Let's get it, y'all. Straight up.